Now that console has finally gotten their hands on Valorant, people are starting to realize that aiming on the game is a little bit difficult. That is why today I'm bringing you guys a less than 10-minute aim routine that will guarantee you practice things that you will need in a game-to-game basis on Valorant.
One enemy remaining.
Let's begin with the basics. Go to this aiming board you can find in the training range where you will be practicing your bursts. You want to practice having the first few shots in the burst be as accurate as possible from multiple ranges, which you could change here in the settings. You want to practice this while pulling down at various ranges so that you have a good feel for it in game and while training your aim. Continuing with the basics, let's practice our strafe by practicing our counter strafe. If you watched my 3 aim tips video, I go into what counter strafing is and how to practice it. Right now, I'm going to assume you know what counter strafing is, but if you don't, you should watch my last video I mentioned because it can really be a big help on console Valorant. Now, for this step, you're going to be practicing your counter strafe by doing as so. Stand in the middle here and shoot on both sides of this wooden pillar. Make sure that you are not stopping for long to shoot, but instead continuing your momentum in the opposite directions, as you can see here, which is what counter strafing can be. This is super useful in game and will help with the strafing steps that I will be going over soon. For this next step, you're going to need to load into the practice range and pick Breach, and also enable practice mode in the settings here. As Breach, come to this corner and then use your ult to try and place all the bots on the left side of the area here. Then, kill 2 of the bots or stragglers, which will create a practice mode with only 2 bots instead of the whole pack. From here, you're going to want to calmly practice the burst I mentioned earlier, while also throwing in some taps as you can see. Do this while standing still for about 2 to 3 minutes, or for a full song. Next, we are going to be doing a similar thing, but this time, we're going to be adding the strafe plus counter strafe in between either shots hit or whiffs. Continue using your bursts and taps, but after every headshot or whiff as I mentioned, throw in a strafe before you shoot your next target. This will help you incredibly in game when shooting more than one target, because you don't really want to be standing still when aiming all of the time. Do this again for about 2 to 3 minutes or a full song. Now, for the next step, we will be practicing our flicks on controller. Funnily enough, this can be a little difficult because of the aim assist on console Valorant. However, still try what I'm about to show you. Since there's only 2 bots in the practice range, try your best to do 2 consecutive shots with a flick between the bots in between. This is probably my favorite part of the warm-up. Now, if the aim assist is really bad and it's starting to get annoying, you can replace this with just flicks between the bots that are spawning instead of the 2 bots you picked to flick between originally. Again, 2 to 3 minutes will be more than enough for this. Now, for the last step, which is optional, queue into a deathmatch lobby. The goal of this deathmatch is to incorporate these tap/bursts you've been practicing with strafes. Now, for the first 10 to 20 kills, try and do only taps. It can be a little difficult at first because sometimes you'll really want to burst or spray, but try your best to keep those taps. If you miss a tap, remember to not just stand still, but to incorporate the strafes you practiced earlier. Now, after you get these 10 to 20 kills, get the remaining kills using bursts and strafes. Make sure that you control your bursts and do not let your recoil get too crazy, just remember to pull your thumbstick down and control it. While in this deathmatch, also make sure to practice your crosshair placement by, for example, leaving your crosshair still and letting the enemies walk into it. I talked about this in my last video, which I know I mentioned already, but you should definitely watch. That is a routine I use daily and is one I highly suggest if you are new to Valorant or you just don't know what to do to warm up or practice. I love you all so much and thank you so much if you made it to the end. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.